wiggling. And Ziggler. And Dolph Ziggler. And Seth Rollins.
We would have broken some numbers. Brock Lesnar's WWE rival reveals the reason why they never fought in MMA. During his time in the UFC, Brock Lesnar became one of the biggest stars in the sport, winning the heavyweight title just 3 fights into his tenure in the promotion. Having come from the WWE, where he was also a huge star, there was a lot of anticipation for Brock Lesnar's career in MMA. Just 4 professional fights in, he was crowned the undisputed heavyweight champion in the premier promotion, becoming one of the biggest names in the sport. Bobby Lashley reveals why a fight against Brock Lesnar in MMA never happened. Throughout his combat career, Lesnar has had several rivalries, both inside the WWE and the UFC, one of which was with Bobby Lashley. Lashley made his WWE debut in 2005, 3 years after Lesnar emerged onto the scene. For several years, Lashley talked about wanting to face Lesnar under the WWE banner, but it didn't come to fruition originally. Fast forward to 2012, and Lesnar returned to the WWE after becoming the UFC heavyweight champion, and at that time, Lashley was dabbling in MMA himself. The two eventually ended up having a short rivalry with each other in wrestling, facing each other on several occasions. However, it was the MMA cage where Lashley wanted to fight Lesnar. In 2014, the Dominator signed with Bellator, making his promotional debut later that year. The 48-year-old went on to compete 5 times under the Bellator banner, winning all 5 fights. Speaking recently on Insight, Lashley explained why a fight with Lesnar in MMA never came to fruition. "I think it would have been awesome, and we would have broken some numbers. A lot of people tried to talk. I was chasing Brock. No. When I first came in, a lot of people were trying to naturally fantasy book. We had similar characters. I didn't accomplish the things Brock did, but people still looked at it as, Brock needs a match, that's the guy he should match up with. When I went into MMA, they did the same thing. We never really matched as far as time. When Brock got back into fighting, I was into wrestling. When I got out of wrestling and got into fighting, Brock was in wrestling. We were never in the same environment at the same time until I was in WWE, and he came back," Lashley explained. Brock Lesnar spotted with a new look as fans question if he'll return to combat sports. Now 47 years old, Lesnar has been spotted with a new look, clearly embracing his age. The former UFC champion usually dons shaved hair with a man bun look. However, he has changed his style. Lesnar seems to be growing his hair and beard out, as fans have stated the legend is looking older. WWE fans are still hopeful that he will return to pro wrestling. However, his last appearance in the ring was in the summer of 2023. It's fair to say Lesnar won't be returning to the UFC after years of fans calling for him to, but he may still have a part to play in the wrestling ring. Huge WWE legend will return for tribal combat between Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa on Raw, says analyst. Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa are set to square off in tribal combat on WWE Raw's premiere on Netflix. WWE analyst Sam Roberts recently predicted the return of a mastiff legend for the anticipated clash. The Rock went on hiatus following the Raw after WrestleMania XL. In October, the final boss made a surprise appearance at Bad Blood to make a cryptic, seemingly threatening gesture to Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, and Jimmy Uso. A recent report from WrestleVotes claimed the 52-year-old WWE legend will return on the January 6 episode of Monday Night Raw on Netflix. On his Not Some Wrestling podcast, Roberts predicted The Rock would show up for the tribal combat between the OTC and the self-proclaimed tribal chief. I gotta believe that The Rock shows up for tribal combat. I gotta believe that on January 6th, we find out what side of the bloodline, if any, The Rock has been supporting. Who's to say The Rock doesn't have his own bloodline? Who's to say The Rock hasn't been formulating his own faction? Who's to say The Rock is gonna support either one of them? But I think he probably will, he said. The 41-year-old WWE analyst host believed the final boss would side with Sikoa's bloodline against Reigns, leading to the OTC having to go through the heel faction to get to The Rock. And I think the idea of The Rock is flanked by Solo, Jacob, and Tamatonga. And Jey Uso and Sami Zayn, like Roman's whole bloodline, is busy with Drew McIntyre, is busy with all these other guys that now Roman Reigns is gonna have to go through this unbeatable force just to eventually get to The Rock. I mean, that's amazing to me.